Canadian ambassador. I had the distinction, and it's a very interesting distinction, of having served in Italy before. I was a consul general, and I was in Milan, so I already have, in terms of my formative diplomatic career, an idea of the significance of the network of major cities around the world as a driving force of diplomacy. So I'm very pleased to see all of you here and to be welcoming you today for the first ever Canada-Italy dialogue on smart cities. I've done a lot of events in this room. For a Canadian, I don't think we have anything that's equivalent in our country that would date back to this. We've done events on trade, investment, education promotion, energy, CETA, which is the Canada-Europe Free Trade Agreement, immigration, and these are the kind of things that you do in an embassy. They're our bread and butter. But there is one theme that runs through all of them, I think, linking directly to today's discussion, and that's innovation, innovative societies. Giving the best and brightest in Canada and Italy the opportunity to share and learn from each other, clearly then is a priority of our embassy, certainly of this embassy anyway. That's why we hosted an event in 2013 on open data and open government. I will put my cards on the table. I think as a public servant, I've spent 32 years of my career in government. Everything a government does should be open to its citizens. It should just be out online, and if you want to mine that data for whatever use, creative use, then you should be free to do so. I think in government we have a tendency far too often to cover things up. I'd much rather everything was in the public domain, and of course this is being live streamed, so I may not be here next week when the government reacts to what I've just said, but there we are. And anyway, what I would like to see anyway coming out of our discussions today is an exchange of innovative thoughts. And it's true, of course, and Canada and Italy, you'll point, everyone realizes are very different societies, very different in their histories and traditions. We are a country of 4,000 municipalities. Italy has 8,000, double what we have. Our population is about 35 million, a little bit more than half of Italy's 61 million. Again, whenever I meet with Italians and I speak to them, clearly one of the defining elements of your background, your nature, is history. You carry a very heavy burden of history that stretches back millennia. Canada is a new country. What defines us is our geography. We have 9 million square kilometers. We have a territory called Nunavut, which, if it had the same population density as Milan, would have a population of 7 billion people. It has a population of 32,000 people in over 1 million something square kilometers. And I guess there's an obvious dimension. Climate is not quite the same either. But with climate change, one never knows when we see palm trees on James Bay. Anyway, differences mask fundamental similarities, however, and the importance of planning and ensuring the right policies in government are in place. Concerns about sustainability, the desire of all of you in terms of your jobs and your vision of trying to improve the quality of life, and the most immediate impact of any level of government on quality of life of its citizen is the city. It's the town, it's the municipality. And that clearly puts communities at the center. And an element of that vision is the need to continually innovate and learn lessons from our successes and failures and those of others. Because as you all know, cities do not operate in a vacuum. In addition to links with neighboring communities and other levels of government, cities that create international connections can better share experiences and learn from successes and failures. And that's what today's about. We want to create those connections. We want to share best practices. We want to look to the future of our cities. And I realize it's a vast exercise, that there is no doubt. But I'm pleased to see that we have collected some of the top thinkers from across Italy and Canada to take up this challenge. And I was very impressed. And I'm very thankful for you, those of you who have come from outside Rome, to come to visit us. Last night, we had a dinner of the speakers, and I was very, very impressed with the exchange that we had. And one of the concepts that got me thinking was we were talking about the concept of the piazza as a livable space. And so I went home last night because I was also thinking that if you think about China, within 15 years, there will be the process of urbanization. I used to have in my foreign ministry the responsibility for Asia. The process of urbanization in China, which is continuing, will see 80% of all Chinese living in cities. That means 300 million people will be moving to cities that are not there now. And bear in mind that there are 162 cities in China with a population of over 1 million. So this is, you know, mind-boggling with how do you deal with the livable space and this process of ongoing continual urbanization. So I went online, and this is always dangerous because when I get off my script, my colleagues who have written my notes get a little bit nervous, but I have something I want to read to you. I went on to the City Science site of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and I have something I want to read for you, just as perhaps a catalyst to some discussion. And what they've written is, rather than separate systems by function, water, food, waste, transport, education, energy, we must consider them holistically. Instead of focusing only on access and distribution systems, our cities need dynamic, networked, self-regulating systems that take into account complex interactions. In short, to ensure a sustainable future society, we must employ evolving technologies to create a nervous system for cities that maintain the stability of their government, energy, mobility, work, and public health networks. So I'll just park that with you because I know this is the kind of thing that you think about. That said, I would really like to thank our speakers from Canada who have joined us and for having made the long journey here. Jennifer, John, and Karen, we very much appreciate you having come all this way to showcase Canadian excellence and to learn, I'm certain, from our Italian colleagues as well. Our speakers and those of you in the audience today from across the smart city spectrum, from local, regional, and national governments, civil society, the private sector, academia, the media, and more, we want to hear from all of you. The day is packed with opportunity to share and learn. We start by looking at the big picture. What do we mean by a smart city? I've given you a definition that I read about. Please poke holes in that if it doesn't make sense, but we need to focus on what it is we see as a smart city. What is the concept in Canada and Italy, or within even the two countries? From there, we'll delve into specific examples from Canada and Italy of smart cities, how to become one, and what happens next. But quite frankly, an empty city is hardly smart, which is why we will turn to the question of intelligent communities and how you ensure that a city meets the needs of those who are living in it. Finally, we will wrap up the morning with an important facet of the question: how do and should private and public sector collaborate to plan and implement smart cities? In the afternoon, we will have two broader discussion sessions on some big picture questions. First, where does digital and technology fit into the smart city discussion? Technology and the smart cities tend to be synonymous, but are they? Which comes first? How important are concepts like open government and open data to smart cities? And then we'll conclude with the question of where do we go from here? What is the future of the smart city? How can international collaborations make local realities stronger? A lot of very interesting questions. I'm looking forward to hearing what you all have to say about them. And with that, I'm pleased to launch this morning's session, ably moderated by Flavia Marzano, a good friend of our embassy who has been a source of inspiration and knowledge as we have explored the worlds of open data and smart cities over the last few years. Grazie. Merci beaucoup. Thank you all very much. And I look forward to participating and listening to the discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ambassador. I'm very, very proud to be here. And also because we have a wonderful